Hi, I'm Kevin Kane, and this is my friend and student Jason Pfeiffer. We're going to show to you today the basics of Dux Ryu ground fighting. The difference between Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, Japanese Jiu-Jitsu, and Dux Ryu is in its methodology and its technology. But at the same time, it's in its viciousness and its efficiency in the street orientation. Hope you enjoyed the training. Train hard. Okay, our first technique is going to be the bridge and roll. I'm going to show you the difference between a sport orientation and what we're going to do in Dux Ryu. So we're going to scoot back a little bit here. I'm going to be on my back, and I'm going to try to show this to you at different angles. I'm going to be on my back, and Jason's going to be on top of me in what's called the top base on the mount. All right, we're calling this the top base position, and what I want you to do is put your elbows in his knees. In order to prevent him from walking up on me, so he scoots up here and gets underneath my armpits like this, I have no ability to move him over with my grappling techniques. There's other options, but with grappling, I don't have any ability to move him over. All right, so he's gonna back up, and the first thing I'm gonna do is put my elbows here. When he starts coming down to me as a punch, I'm gonna bring my hips straight up into the air like that. All right, so back up. So I bring my feet close to my bottom. When he comes in for a punch, I'm going to come on this way. When that happens, I'm going to wrap around his arm, and he's going to readjust his hand here so he doesn't hurt himself. I'm going to hug down. I'm going to take my foot that's on the same side as the arm wrap and bring that in close. I'm going to raise my hips up into the air and bring him over. All right, let's look at it from the other angle. All right, he brings in the punch. I'm going to wrap him over. I'm going to trap his foot, lift his hips, and on down he goes. Now, in that particular case, he fell to the other side. I still wrapped his arm so he couldn't base out and trapped the foot and rolled over. All right, let's look at it from this point of view. I'm going to trap his arm, trap his foot, lift up, roll over, and I'm in the top base. Okay, that's the grappling way of doing things. Let's take it to the street for a minute. Okay. He comes this way, I'm going to sit up and hug his body. Bring him down like that. Bring his body up. Trap him over, trap his foot, bring my hips up. And there we go. Let's look at that one more time from another angle. He's sitting up on me, getting ready to punch me. I sit up. I hug him. Okay, go away, practice that. This technique is the scissor sweep. He's in between my legs, or what's called the scissors. Okay, I'm going to trap one of his arms and trap the back of his neck. I'm going to put my foot in his hip and scoop my hips away off to the side, bringing my knee inside of his body. I sit up, pulling him into me and sweeping his legs out from underneath them and back into top base. All right, let's try it on this side. He's inside the scissors. I trap one of his arms, trap the back of his neck, put my foot in his hip, scoop my hips out and bring my knee across his belly. I'm going to straighten out my body so my head is in line with his head. I'm going to sit straight up, and I'm going to pull him in and sweep his foot out while I kick the other leg straight out. And I come into top base. All right, let's do it this way. In the scissor position, trap the arm. Trap the back of the head, put my foot in his hip, scoop my hips away, bring my knee in, straighten out my body, where my head is in line with his head. Sit up, wrap him in, pull him off, into top base position. Okay, the third technique we're going to talk about is the straight arm bar. I'm in the top base position. If he tries to push up this way, push me up, I'll slide my arm in, one arm at a time, like that. So he pushes me up, slide one arm in, one at a time. Okay? This is how we get out of this push position. Like that. Yeah, although we can, the option is going into the straight arm bar. He pushes up, I trap his arm, I take his face and drag it over. Trap my own shirt or gi, put my knee up into his hip. Base my weight on his face and bring my foot straight around. Pinch my knees together, put my heels down to the floor the best I can, pull down on his arm. Okay, the other angle. Okay, so he bases off. I can come here and swim through. But if he bases off, I can trap, take his face and turn it. See how my back foot is close to his body? When I'm ready to come up, I open this up, opening my hips up, keeping my bottom down low, pinching my knees together. Look at the angle of his arm. That's the angle you want. Bring this down. Okay, let's do it with the head facing this way. Scoot up a little bit for me. Okay, again, if he pushes up, I can swim through. 1, 2. At any point, when he pushes into here, I'll trap his arm. Take this and push at his face. Trap his arm here. Bring my knee up. Keep my foot in his hip. Push him around over to his side. Back leg stays tight in. Keep this close to his body. Open my foot up. Bring this around. Keep this angle here. As I pinch my knees together and bring my heels to the ground. Okay, go away, try that. Practice hard. People call this next technique the American armbar. Some people call it the key lock. We're going to just call it the American armbar for the sake of this video. He's going to lay down with his head facing that way. Let's scoop over a little bit for me. I'm going to be in side base, like so. His arm is going to be out here. I'm going to pull this in. And I like to make them very uncomfortable, so I'm going to take this elbow and push it into his body. Same time, I keep a shell hand or my thumb from grabbing. I don't want to get caught inside his uniform or his coat or drag my knuckle on the ground. So I'm going to keep my thumb up here locked in. His hand facing straight up and down. I'm going to slide this underneath and grab my own wrists. Now what my wrists are going to do is this. Both of them are going to do this position. Okay? So I'm here. Both of my wrists are going to pop up. And I'm going to paint the floor with his hand. I'm going to keep his hand on the floor. And I'm going to drag his elbow and my elbow to his rib cage. Just like that. Okay? So I'm here in top base, and side base rather. I grab his arm, push into his head with my elbow. Slide this underneath his body, his arm. Rev my wrists up. Bring his elbow down to his rib cage. Okay? Second option here is to take his hand and twist his hand. Go underneath his hand and it makes an even tighter lock. Okay, so I can take this into a handshake position like this, like a reverse handshake. Bring that down here and get that lock there. I can do a twisting wrist grab like this, or it's called a double wrist lock there, or I can go to the American armbar inside here and inside that. So that gives you 3 different options from this side base position from the American armbar. Go and play with that. Next armbar is what's known as the dorsal fin. It's just opposite from the American armbar. His arm this time is going to be in this position here. This could be up here like this, and I drive it down to his waist. I take my arm underneath his and come in close. From there, I'm going to shift my hips over and get there. It's really, really tight. Okay, so here. Like that. Now, Jason's a big guy, so I don't have to do this, but I could bring my foot over this way and come there. All right, getting the dorsal fin on him with the foot over there is going to be really tough for him to take, so we won't do that. All right. Another way we can do the dorsal fin is by turning the wrist. And it already gets locked up. All right? You okay?
That hurts.
You okay?
Yeah.
All right. So I'm doing these very light, but it's still painful. Going to the dorsal fin with this hand torquing back this way. Okay? Another way to do the dorsal fin is lock the wrist straight in. Like that. Okay? Notice how I can't go all the way through because it's just that tight, even doing it lightly. So you want to go in and come in tight and go all the way through. Okay? So let's try the dorsal fin. By the way, I want to mention that I normally don't like people looking at me when I'm doing a technique. So what I'll typically do is turn their face away from me like this. So I'll push this in. Keep that in tight, and then lock that, and then go there. All right, so it's something to keep in mind, never to let the opponent see what you're doing. So lock this up, keep your elbow in his face, keep his hips in. Lock in the dorsal fin. All right, go play with that. Okay, the next technique is the front strangle. It's going to look like this. You would be in the scissor position or sitting up like this. I will wrap my arm around his head and get all of the way underneath his neck. I'm going to actually strangle him instead of doing the typical Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu technique. So I want my forearm on his Adam's apple. Okay? So it makes it a big difference. All right, when I lean back, I'm gonna get it in the choke, okay? All right, let's do it from this angle over here. Different sensation, isn't it? I'm gonna come up underneath. My arm across his Adam's apple. Across the Adam's apple, okay? All right, this leg over here. Sit up, get my arm across his Adam's apple, fall back, lock the scissors, and squeeze. Nice, easy technique, but highly effective. All right, go play with that. Okay, I just showed you 6 techniques. Now I'm going to show you the defenses from each one of those very quickly. Okay, the first one was the top base position, and the person on the bottom. If you go ahead and get on the bottom, I'm in the top base. Let's scoot up a little bit this way. I'm in the top base position, and he bumps his hips in the air. I can lift my bottom back like that, okay? Or if he does that,